Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Chef Matty B. Today we're here at TA in Kitchener, and you might know this, but it is National Hot Pastrami Sandwich Day. So we got ourselves some pastrami and we're gonna make a sandwich, but that's a big chunk of pastrami. That doesn't really help us with making a sandwich unless you want just a big thick steak of pastrami, but we don't. But luckily, we got this beautiful Vitantonio meat slicer here that's gonna give us a hand with slicing up our pastrami, and we're also gonna use it to slice up our bread too. This meat slicer is nice and compact. It's not gonna take up that much space on your countertop, but you're still gonna get all of that commercial grade performance out of it. Unlike a lot of home use meat slicers, this one has a nice smooth blade. That's what they have in commercial delis. Most residential slicers have a serrated blade. It's a little easier to maintain it, but with this one, a smooth blade is super easy to maintain because it has a built-in sharpener. So when you're using this slicer, if you ever find that it's getting a little dull and it's not slicing as cleanly, it's as simple as twisting a knob in the back and the whole sharpening unit lifts up, turns around, and it has easy buttons to press. That's gonna sharpen your blade and make sure that you're getting the best performance out of your slicer. This slicer also has a screw on the top at the back of the guide. That way you can twist it, you can open up your guide and have consistent pressure all the way back, and you don't have to worry about it cutting on an angle from the top not being as supported as the base. This is gonna provide you with the support. It also has a nifty nut here, so if you have a size that you're consistently cutting, you can set that and it will hold the bolt in place. But enough about the slicer, let's start making these sandwiches. So to make a classic hot pastrami sandwich, you need a couple of different things. So we got a nice chunk of pastrami, we got some Havarti cheese, a classic dill pickle, a nice grainy mustard to go with that. All those flavors are gonna come through. It's gonna be so delicious. We're gonna pop all of that on some nice rye bread. Like I said, I'm gonna show you guys, you can slice bread on a deli slicer too. It doesn't have to just be for meat and cheeses, especially if you're doing like a dinner party and you need thin crostinis. I know it sucks cutting those by hand. Freeze your bread for about 20 minutes, use your deli slicer, and you can just bang those crostinis out super fast. So this pastrami is a little bit too big for our meat slicer. I'm just gonna cut it in half so it's a little easier to slice here. Bring that over to our meat slicer. You can actually stack them too when you're doing it, because you got spikes on your handle here. That's gonna hold all the meat in place. You don't have to worry about it sliding around on you. So I'm only gonna set it to like about a half to one. Click it on, the wheel starts spinning. Now this is the important part. You wanna keep your hands away. That is a very sharp blade. So we got a handle here that you can just push and slice with. And you can see, we got a perfectly nice shaved piece of pastrami here. Now that we have our pastrami shaved, I got a little beef stock over here. It's nice and warm. That way I can get my pastrami in there, get a little bit more flavor out of it, but also warm it up. We're gonna get our rye bread sliced. So now I got our slicer set to 10, so we can get a bit thicker of a slice on it. But if you're using a softer bread, like a white bread, you would wanna freeze it for about 20 minutes before you slice it, just so you don't have to worry about it squishing as you're trying to slice it. There we go. And as you can see, that slicer did an amazing job slicing our bread. Nice even slices, no messing around with bread knives, not as many crumbs, way easier. So now I'm gonna grab a pan. Classically, you use butter when you're toasting bread. The better alternative is mayo. The egg just cooks nicer, gives you a nicer crust. You still got the oil present, so you're still getting all the frying action that you would get from butter, but it's a little better flavor and you just get a little nicer crust on it. So we're gonna put a nice layer of mayo on our bread here and toss that in the pan to start getting that toasted. The other quick trick when you're doing sandwiches like this, toast the inside of your bread too. You gotta do it. It creates the best sandwich that you've ever had.
You gotta do it.
You gotta do it. You have to do it. I know most people use sliced pickles. It's easy, it's convenient. Grab it out of the jar, throw it on your sandwich. But I find when it's sliced, the acid has the chance to get to the inside and you get a bit more of a mushy pickle. So I like using whole pickles and just slicing them myself when I'm ready to use them. That way they're as crispy as possible. So now we got the inside of our bread all nicely toasted. We're ready to start building the sandwich. So same as before, I'm gonna put a little mayo on the outside. And this part's gonna get a little messy, but trust me, it's well worth it. Just flip it over, a little mayo on the cutting board is fine. For this, I'm gonna use a crunchy mustard. I know smooth mustard is like, it has its place, but on a nice hot pastrami sandwich, you gotta go with the classic crunchy mustard. And then we're gonna get our pickle on there. And then top those pickles off with a couple of slices of Havarti cheese. And then to make it a little bit easier, at this point, I'm gonna pop this into the pan, and then I'm gonna come back to our hot pastrami, and now I can just load it up and not worry about it getting soggy while I try and move it into the pan. It's already situated in there. You can hear all that flavor sizzling already. This is gonna be such a good sandwich. You throw your lid on top and let that toast. All right, so now that our sandwich is all nice and toasty, grab that out of the pan and let's see how it looks on the inside. Oh yeah, that's a good looking sandwich. Absolute classic. Cooking the meat a little bit more adds that extra flavor and really takes that sandwich to the next level. That is amazing. And it's thanks to the Vitantonio meat slicer that I was able to get that pastrami so nicely shaved and that bread perfectly sliced. So go make yourself a hot pastrami sandwich and enjoy Hot Pastrami Sandwich Day. We'll see you guys next time.